I want you to picture a scenario. It's a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
You've just bought that high-end barista-grade espresso machine you've been saving up for. It's got, 17 dials, a steam wand, a digital pressure gauge,
All 9 yards.
the whole thing. You unpack it, you're excited, and in your excitement, you toss the user manual straight into the recycling bin because, how hard can coffee be?
Famous last words.
Exactly. Fast forward 2 weeks, a red light starts blinking furiously. The pressure gauge is doing something scary. And you realize with this sinking feeling that you have absolutely no idea if the machine is running a cleaning cycle or if it's about to turn your kitchen into a crater.
It's that universal moment of panic where you realize owning the hardware, it's just not enough. You need the know-how to actually operate it.
Now take that feeling, that specific anxiety, and just scale it up. Imagine you didn't buy a coffee maker. Imagine you represent a massive corporation that just spent, say, $500 million commissioning a chemical processing plant.
Or a new airport terminal.
Right. And the builders, the contractors, they hand you a set of keys and just walk away.
And suddenly you're standing there with $1 billion asset, and you don't know which button turns the lights on, or, more importantly, how to stop a high-pressure valve from bursting.
That isn't just an inconvenience. That is a catastrophic failure waiting to happen. And that is exactly why the document we're doing a deep dive into today exists. It's titled Employer Requirement Handover, specifically document E2.16. Now, I know handover requirement sounds like maybe the most boring set of words in the English language.
It really does. It just sounds like bureaucracy.
It does. But when you actually read it, and we have read it, it's a survival guide. It is the instruction manual for not blowing up your billion-dollar investment.
Precisely. This document, it's the bridge. It addresses a huge problem in the construction industry, which is the gap between building something and operating something. The document explicitly says the goal here is the transfer of the project from the contractor to the employer. But it's not just about transferring ownership of, the steel and the concrete. It's about transferring the brain of the project.
The mission of this deep dive, then, is to unpack exactly how you organize that chaos. Because a construction site is chaos.
Oh, absolutely.
It's thousands of workers, millions of parts, years of changes. This document, E2.16, it lays out a rigorous structure to tame that chaos into a system that ensures the new owner isn't left in the dark.
And it does that by refusing to accept a simple dump of information. You can't just hand over a hard drive with like 1 million unorganized PDFs.
Right.
The document mandates a specific electronic document management system, an EDMS, and it organizes the entire world of the project into, a library.
Let's talk about that library concept because the source material divides all the information into specific books numbered 0 through 7.
It's a curated collection.
Yeah. But before we pull the books off the shelf, we should probably define what even counts as project documentation here.
That's a crucial distinction. The document, it casts a really wide net. It includes contract management, project management, permit management, technical documentation.
So everything.
Almost everything. But there is a fascinating exclusion here that really tells you what this library is for. The text explicitly says that day-to-day communications on an operational level are not included.
So they don't want the 3,000 emails about who kept stealing the yogurt from the site fridge.
Laughs, exactly.
Or the arguments about where to park the crane on a Tuesday.
No. This is about the permanent record.
Yeah.
The filter is, does this information help the new owner run, fix, maintain, or legally defend the asset 5 or 10 years from now?
And if the answer is no,
it doesn't belong in the library. This is all about long-term utility, not the daily soap opera of the construction site.
I love that distinction. It's the difference between like a diary and a history book.
Yes.
So let's walk through the shelves of this history book. It starts with Book 0.
Which is a bit of a ghost book, really, for the people doing the building. Book 0 is titled Project Decision Documentation, but the text notes it's only employer's documentation.
So for the contractor trying to hand over the keys, this shelf is just empty. They don't touch it.
They don't touch it.
So the real work for the builder begins at Book 1. The document calls this Standards, Codes of Practice, and Handover Procedures.
Think of Book 1 as the constitution of the project. It holds the list of industry norms and standards, the codes of practice, and the contract agreement itself. It's the foundation.
Why is that the first thing? Why not, the blueprints?
Because context is everything. 5 years from now, if a pipe bursts and floods the facility, the first question the lawyers or the insurance adjusters will ask is, What standard was this built to?
Ah, I see.
Was it built to the 2020 safety code or the 2024 code? Did they follow the specific welding standard agreed upon? Book 1 establishes the baseline reality for everything that follows. It answers the question, what were the rules of the game?
That makes perfect sense. It's the reference section. Okay, then we move to Book 2, which is labeled Project Management Documentation. To me, this feels like the ship's log.
That's a really good analogy. Book 2 is the history of how the execution happened. It covers the controlling and monitoring of resources, costs, procurement, risk management.
All the usual stuff.
All the usual stuff, yeah. Plus HSE health, safety, and environment records. But there's a detail in the requirements list here that I think is often overlooked but is absolutely vital on these big projects.
What's that?
Interface management and stakeholder management.
Oh, that is interesting. Usually when we think of construction docs, we think of blueprints and technical specs.
Right.
But stakeholder management, that implies they have to document the relationships.
It creates a paper trail for the social and political side of the project. A massive project doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have neighbors, local unions, city councils.
So wait, if you promised the neighbors you wouldn't run loud trucks after 10 p.m., that agreement has to be in Book 2.
Exactly. And if 3 years later, a neighbor sues the plant, claiming that agreement was breached, you don't have to rely on someone's memory.
You go to Book 2.
You go to Book 2. It acknowledges that a project is a social organism as much as it is a physical one.
So it protects the owner from the ghosts of the past. Okay, so Book 2 tells you how they built it. Book 3 seems to tell you why they were allowed to build it. It's called approval documentation.
Yes, the permission slip.
Mm-hmm.
Book 3 collects all applications for approval by authorities and, crucially, the permits that were issued in response.
So if the Environmental Protection Agency comes knocking,
Or the local fire marshal wants to see your occupancy permit, you don't scramble through desk drawers. You go straight to Book 3. It's the evidence of legality.
which brings us to Book 4. If Book 3 is the permission slip, Book 4 feels like the report card. It's titled Test and Verification Documentation.
This is where the contractor proves they didn't cut corners. The source text says this book contains verifications of the quality features tested during manufacturing, installation, erection, and commissioning.
So this is where you find the receipts, the proof that the steel is actually strong enough that the pressure vessels aren't going to leak.
Correct. It includes EU conformity declarations, manufacturer declarations, public authority acceptance inspections. But here's a specific structural note in the document that shows how much thought went into this.
Okay.
Book 4 must be divided into sections that match the sequence of the handover.
What does that mean in practice?
It means you can't just throw all the test results in a bucket. If the plant is handed over in 3 phases, say the power unit, then the processing unit, then the storage unit, the test records in Book 4 have to mirror that structure.
Ah, so it has to be searchable.
It has to be searchable. You don't want to be hunting for a concrete test for the storage unit inside the folder for the power unit.
Organization is safety. Got it. Speaking of which, let's look at Book 5, Design and Construction Documentation.
The blueprints. This
Yeah.
is the real nuts and bolts. Technical documents on the structure, the function of the equipment.
So if you need to know how a specific wall was reinforced or the wiring diagram for a control panel, Book 5 is your destination.
Exactly. It's the static picture of the asset as it was built.
Okay, quick recap then. We have the rules, that's Book 1, the diary, Book 2, permits, Book 3, report card, Book 4, and the blueprints, Book 5.
You got it.
Now we get to the part that actually affects the people turning the knobs, the user experience. This starts with Book 6, User Guides and Manuals.
This is the book you absolutely cannot afford to lose. Book 6 is the reference work containing execution procedures and, most importantly, the operation and maintenance manuals
So this is the actual instruction manual for our giant coffee maker.
on steroids. It contains the operation manual for the entire works, plus the maintenance manuals for every single system and component.
So if a pump fails,
Book 6 tells you how to service it. If you need to restart the main turbine after a blackout, Book 6 tells you the sequence. Without Book 6, the plant is just a very expensive, very heavy modern art sculpture. It's useless.
but here's where the document really surprised me. We have Book 6 for manuals, but then there's Book 7 called Operational Documentation. At first glance, I thought, didn't we just cover this? But it's different, isn't it?
It is significantly different.
Hmm.
And honestly, Book 7 is where the real value lies for a smart owner.
How so?
Book 6 is about how the machine is supposed to work the theory. Book 7 is the record of how it actually worked before the keys were handed over.
Right, because this covers the trial operation phase.
The source defines it as all operating records and operating data resulting from any operation before taking over. But here's the insight that really matters. The requirements for Book 7 include a list of completed failed recurring checks.
Wait, failed checks. Why would an owner want a record of failures? Usually, a contractor wants to hide the things that went wrong and just show you the shiny finished product.
That is exactly why this requirement is in there. It forces transparency.
I see.
If a specific sensor failed 3 times during the trial run, even if they fixed it and it's working now, as the new owner, you need to know that history.
It's predictive intelligence.
Exactly. It tells you where your future headaches are likely to be. It's like buying a used car and getting a log of every time it's stalled during the test drive, not just a certificate saying it runs now.
That is incredibly valuable. And Book 7 asks for even more, doesn't it? It mentions a description of particularities.
I love that phrase, particularities.
It's very polite engineering speak for quirks.
It is. Every complex system has personality quirks. Maybe the pressure valve sings a little bit before it opens. Maybe the startup sequence is sensitive to cold weather. This document mandates that those quirks be written down in Book 7. It prevents that tribal knowledge from walking out the door when the construction crew leaves.
You don't want the only person who knows how to jiggle the handle to be the guy who just retired.
Precisely.
And just a quick side note before we move on, the document mentions that documentation for spare parts is also an integral part of this.
Oh, vital. You cannot maintain an asset if you don't know the part numbers. It sounds basic, but you'd be surprised how many projects finish without a clear list of what screws to buy when the original ones rust out.
Okay, so we have this massive library of 7 books, but here's the kicker. You can't just dump all of them on the employer's desk on the last day. The source has a whole section called Handover Documentation Sequence, specifically Table 1. It's a choreographed dance.
It has to be. If you drop 10,000 pages of manuals on the owner the day they're supposed to take over, they can't possibly read them. The pacing is designed to respect the ability to absorb information.
So let's look at the timing. What stands out to you in the schedule?
Okay, look at Book 6, the user manuals. The requirement is that they must be delivered 2 months prior to test on completion.
2 months before the final test. That seems early. Why not deliver them when the test is done?
It's actually just in time. Think about it. Who is going to run the test?
The operators. The employer's team.
Right. And they need to study. You can't test the plant if the operators don't know how to run it yet. They need that lead time to train.
Oh, that's a really good point. If you deliver the manuals on the day of the test, you're setting them up to fail.
You are. So it's about training time, not just filing time.
What about the other books?
Book 4, the tests, and Book 5, design, generally require an initial delivery 1 month prior to their specific milestones. And Book 7, the operational records, that comes 1 month before trial operations.
So the information flow is constantly leading the physical milestones. The paperwork arrives before the reality happens.
It creates a buffer. And notice the 3 steps of submission mentioned in the table. 1, initial delivery. 2, red marking. And 3, final.
Red marking. That sounds like a teacher grading homework with a red pen.
It's basically that. It's an iterative process. The contractor submits, the employer reviews, and marks it up with corrections, the red marking, and then the contractor has to fix it.
So it's not a submit and forget workflow.
No, it's a conversation. This manual is unclear. This diagram doesn't match what you actually built. They have to hash this out before the deadline.
Which leads us to the grand finale of the paperwork, the approval loop. The document includes a flowchart describing how this actually happens.
And it's a rigorous loop. Step 1. The contractor submits preliminary handover documentation via the EDMS, the Electronic Document Management System.
So it starts digital? That makes sense. We are in the 21st century.
Yes. The employer checks for completeness. But if the digital files are good, we move to a step that I found pretty surprising in a modern context.
I know exactly what you're talking about, the completeness and comparison check.
Yes. The text explicitly says the employer checks if the hard copy matches the soft copy, and it demands that they are identical.
Hold on. We're in an era where everything is in the cloud. We have blockchains, secure servers. Why does this document insist on a physical paper trail that mirrors the digital one exactly?
It's a fascinating requirement. It implies that for this kind of project, the digital file isn't enough. It creates a physical source of truth.
It's harder to hack a binder on a shelf.
That's part of it, but also it ensures version control. It prevents a dangerous scenario where the guy in the control room is looking at a physical binder that says, turn valve left, while the engineer in the office is looking at a PDF that says, turn valve right.
Ah, that's a chilling thought. Mismatched manuals causing an accident.
They must be identical to ensure safety. So if they don't match or if the red marking comments aren't
The
addressed,
whole package gets rejected. Back to the start.
the loop continues until it's perfect.
And only when they match and all comments are closed out do we reach the final package.
Right. The final package includes the final document register, the equipment list, native files, so not just PDFs, but the original CAD files that you can edit, plus pictures and videos.
And only when that is approved.
Only then does the notice to contractor go out. And this is the key takeaway. This notice triggers the taking over of the works. You do not get to hand over the building until you have successfully handed over the information.
That really drives home the point that the information is the asset. The building is just the hardware. But there is one final layer to this that looks toward the future. Section 5. Asset management.
This is where the document gets very modern. It says the documentation isn't just for reading, it's data.
Okay.
The contractor has to ensure that all plant equipment documentation is named, numbered, coded, and formatted to fit into the employer's existing asset management system.
So you can't just use your own file names. pumpbigred.pdf isn't going to cut it.
Laughs no? If the employer system calls that pump P101A, your documentation must be tagged P101A. The document states they have to jointly establish this coding language.
Which ensures that when the employer uploads these files into their system, everything links up automatically.
Exactly. It prevents that nightmare scenario where you have a database of assets and a separate folder of PDFs and no way to link them.
So it forces the data to be usable from day one.
That's right. It means when a maintenance worker scans a barcode on a machine in the plant, the correct manual from Book 6 pops up on their tablet instantly. That only happens if the coding is done right during handover.
So we've unpacked the books, the timeline, the approval process, the data integration. It's so much more than just getting a receipt for a building.
It really is. The Employer Requirement Handover is essentially a philosophy of project management. It says that a project isn't finished when the concrete is dry.
It's finished when the understanding of the project is transferred.
That's it. And the structure, those books 0 through 7, provides the container for that understanding. It turns a million scattered facts into a usable library.
Chaos is the enemy of operation.
And this document is the weapon against chaos.
Before we wrap up, I want to go back to one thing. What's the one element from this deep dive that is going to stick with you?
You know, I keep coming back to that hard copy versus soft copy check.
Yeah, me too.
In our digital-first world, we just assume digital is forever. But this document insists on a physical mirror. It makes you wonder, is there a lingering distrust of digital permanence?
Or is there a legal necessity to having a physical source of truth that can't be corrupted by a server crash or a file format becoming obsolete in 20 years?
Right.
It's true. Can you open a digital file from 1995 today? Maybe. But you can definitely open a book from 1995.
Exactly. It suggests that when billions of dollars in human safety are on the line, paper is still the ultimate backup. It's the one format we know will last.
It's a fascinating thought. We trust the cloud with our photos, but maybe not with our power plant.
It certainly seems that way.
Well, next time you lose the manual for your toaster, just be glad you don't have to submit Book 6 and Book 7 to the manufacturer before you can make toast.
Laughs amen to that.
And be glad you don't have to verify the hard copy against the soft copy. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of project handover.
We'll catch you on the next one.
If you're interested in the templates, please visit our shop. The link is in the description.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see next time.